Oh, howdy y'all, grab yourself a drink, it is time for some Path of Exile discussion. Welcome to day 6 of spoiler season for patch 3.19 and the Lake of Kalandra expansion. Pretty quiet day today, we got some clarification on how one specific interaction with Bleed and Summon Reaper works, and we also got a Divination card. Let's start with the Divination card, and that is Doryani's Epiphany. Doryani's Epiphany is a set of 3 cards for 3 of the same Regrade lens. Regrade lenses are a pretty obscure currency that I think a lot of people won't know anything about. Unless you run a fair bit of heist, you may never have seen one of these. And what they do is they transform a gem from one type of quality into another type. When you run a gem reward blueprint wing, you'll be given a choice of 5 curio room chests. These will usually contain a specific alternate quality gem. However, they have a chance of having that be replaced either by Crest of Desire or one of the other 2 curio replacement uniques, or alternately they can be replaced by a Regrade lens. These Regrade lenses are pretty valuable. They typically trade for about an Exalted Orb in a trade league, sometimes a bit more, sometimes a bit less. It just depends on the specific matter. And they work in an interesting way. When you apply a Regrade lens to a superior gem, you will get an anomalous gem, you'll get a phantasmal gem, or you'll get a divergent gem. Which one you get will be random, but there is a weighting applied to it. You cannot get back the same type of quality you put in. If you put in superior, you will get one of the other 3. If you put in anomalous, you can get superior back, or you can get divergent or phantasmal, but you can't go back to anomalous. Secondly, there is a primary and a secondary Regrade lens. These 2 types of Regrade lenses do the same thing as each other, but primary ones only work on skill gems, and secondary ones only work on support gems. Which one of these is more valuable does vary a lot from league to league. I don't think one of them is intended to be rarer than the other. It's just that players sometimes decide that there's more utility to one of them or the other. Now, if you're interested into the weighting as to which one you're going to get, you can go to the website POE and look up the skill in question. I've just got Wave of Conviction here as an example because it has a few different weightings on it, whereas some of the others will just be the same weighting for everything. So Wave of Conviction has superior version, which is weighted at 50. Anomalous weighted at 100, Divergent weighted at 100, and Phantasmal that is weighted at 20. The lower the number, the rarer, the higher the number, the more common. If you were to start with the Divergent Wave of Conviction and you were to apply a primary Regrade lens to it, you'd have 50 chances to get a superior gem, 100 to get an anomalous gem, no chance to get back to Divergent, and 20 chances to get a Phantasmal version. All in all, that's 5 in 17 to hit superior, 10 in 17 to hit anomalous, and 2 in 17 to hit Phantasmal. If you want to check up a different gem though, by all means, come to this site and I'll put a link down in the description below and just click the gem you specifically want. So here's Fireball, for example. And here you'll see that Phantasmal is probably one of the worst, and it's the rarest of them by far. Divergent's a bit more common, and Anomalous is much more common. Anomalous was, for a whole period, the best of them. So that's Doryani's Epiphany. How rare do I think this will be? I think it's going to be pretty rare. Here's a list of some of the rarer Divination cards in the game. We're not going the staggeringly rare stuff, not going the stuff that's meaningfully rarer than the Doctor, but this is stuff that you're not going to see very many of. This is the number of each Divination card that Slippery Jim 8 pulled out when he organised a massive collaborative effort to open 200,000 stacked decks. During this time, he got 35 copies of the Doctor, about 1 in 8,000. He got 42 7 Years Bad Luck, 43 Brothers Stash. Should give you a bit of an idea as to how rare the cards on the left side are, because you may have tried to farm some of those cards yourself. I am expecting, although I'm not certain on this, that the Divination card Doryani's Epiphany will be somewhere in this ballpark. It's not necessarily that a copy of Doryani's Epiphany is going to be as valuable in a trade league as the Doctor, but it gives a reward that's pretty rare, and as a result, GGG tend to make those cards pretty rare as well. That said, I could be wrong. Maybe it's more common, maybe it's like the Nurse, maybe it's rarer. It could also be something that drops from an unusual source. So for example, Luminous Trove is a very common drop, but it only drops from all the Crystal King, and that's why it doesn't show up very much at all in stacked decks. It's because it's considered to be a very rare card, but when you actually fight all, you have a pretty good chance of getting a copy of Luminous Trove from him. Likewise, you'll see the same thing with Dementophobia, which is a moderately uncommon drop from Conquerors of the Atlas. Let's talk about Summon Reaper. Prevalent had put together some information on why they thought that Summon Reaper was going to do massively more bleed damage in patch 3.19. However, Viper-esque, but Grinding Gear Games, came back with a clarification. Summon Reaper already has a bonus to bleeding damage from before patch 3.15.0D. The removal of the bonus fully counteracts the changes to base minion bleeding damage. Reaper bleeds will deal more or less the same damage in 3.19 as they do now, other changes notwithstanding. So basically, the Summon Reaper is going to be about where it is now until you add in the effects of the new Convoking Rings and the Convoking Shields. We don't have any information on how good those are going to be. That's something that I did reach out to Bex to suggest, that she maybe give a bit of a teaser as to what's coming on those. She said that they'll think about it, but they're probably going to hold it until the live stream. So it may well be that we don't find out much more about the future of Minions until that live stream. Who knows, we may get a Convoking Ring mod that's as powerful as 40% more damage from Minion bleeds, or we may get very, very lackluster ones that people don't end up using. That's going to determine whether Summon Reaper is good in 3.19 or not. For the moment, I don't recommend planning it as a league starter, but of course, that could be subject to change if we get some fantastic information in the next couple of days. That's all I got on that. May your Volobs have interesting results, and I will be streaming over on Twitch as I work on some of the remaining challenges for patch 3.18.